Okay, gentlemen. All right. So this LIASB Tech Tip is basically talking about where is that document, and again, in terms of how do we mitigate risk and exposure and make life a little bit easier. So first, this is a typical type of environment for most people, most businesses, is that you're going to have documents in folders. All right. So I have Google Drive, documents in my Google Drive, or it could be OneDrive or any of those cloud based places, which allows us to share documents with coworkers or even to give it to ourselves remotely. If I'm on the road, if it's in Google Drive, I can get to it. We have documents that are saved on our desktops. So this is my computer. But if I also have employees that work for me or other computers, I have documents there. So you have people working in an office environment, they have documents on their personal desktops at their desk. But also with COVID, they're not working at home. So not only do the documents reside in the office computer, their office and computer, it also resides on their home computer as well. Other areas, I have external drives. So if I come down here, I have another set of documents on my external drive. And then we also have network drives. And again, all of these places that we generally put these documents, it's to basically either make my life easier so I can access them or somebody else so that they can provide a function for me. The problem is that, yes, I can create sort folders, subfolders, put documents there, but this is a manual process and I have to remember where they are. I may be able to search for things, specific words, like keywords, or just a text. Where is, this document that deals with COVID? And the search structure of these folders may be able to find it. In some cases, like the Google Drive or cloud drives, it may be limited. So it may not give you all that functionality to drill down to find a specific document. You basically are going to rely on, did I name it correctly? Am I putting it in the correct folder? And if somebody screws that system up, then you're hunting for that document anywhere you can try to find it. We also can't forget about our favorites, file cabinets. We have stacks of paper that basically can sit on, credenzas in our offices. We've all seen that. Boxes. I have boxes of paper. Or, again, like I said, it's sitting on someone's desk. So if we need that, we have to hunt and peck for it. We have to try to find it. So what we're going to do is show you an alternative to this kind of method, which is fairly simple. It's browser based. It's totally secure. It gives you your HIPAA compliance, SOX compliance, every kind of compliance that you need in order to make that document secure and lock it down even. So like the same thing in my business, if I have users who only can access certain resources, you can do the same thing in a document management system. So let's take a look at what a document management system looks like. I got to remember where I'm going, and that's not it.
Nope.
Here we go. So this is a product called Content Central by a company Atomero out of Florida. And when a user logs into the document management system, they basically have a dashboard. And each user's dashboard can be different based on their role in the company. So as I see here, I got approval queue. And this is for that workflow that I have in my office that says, all right, a document comes in, it's got to go to Mary Jane. She's got to make sure it's correct. Then I have to move it to the next person for payment. So that next person in that approval process could be payroll. And as we see here, we can approve it or we can also disapprove it or put it somewhere else. Word queues. This could be for any business process or function where it says this person needs to do something with this document. So for example, let's say I want to track certain expiring documents that are going to expire in the next 30 days. Well, if I go back to my folder structure, it's not going to tell me when those documents are expiring. So if human resources, I may have employees that are driving around for me. I got to track their auto insurance. They got to update that, their driver's licenses. Maybe you have people that need certifications. They expire. They got to be recertified. So we can track those documents in the system. And when they come to their maturity date, they automatically go to somebody's workflow. You can also do 30, 90 days before it matures, that it comes into that workflow. So again, I am trying to stay ahead of that document structure and that process to make life easy. Coding queue, this just is basically what it says, coding. So when I put documents into the system, we use certain key elements to say, who is this document for, what type of document it is. If any of those pieces of information are missing and I can't put it into the proper place, it will appear here where somebody can come in and say, oh, that's Fred done with his document. Fix it. And when you say save, it now goes into their folder. So part of this is like, how do we identify the documents that we deal with? And I'm going to come over here to this power. Oh, I got to get logged in. I was out too long. There is a timeout.
It won't watch.
There we go. All right. So these are my catalogs, and there's only two here, but I could have literally catalogs for every part of my business: accounting, payroll, um, you know, management, property management. But whatever that structure is for your company, it can be created and built into this. So if I go to human resources, as you see here, we've identified all the different documents that pertain to human resources. So you got the I-9s, your W-4s, whatever it is that's processed by the company in order to maintain that employee. Down here, you can see that we can drill down for information, specific information. So let's say the company is having an audit and you need to show all the I-9s between a specific date range of June 2020 to November 2020. Well, I can just check this button, put in those date ranges, and find the documents I need. But we can also go a little bit further. So we have a process that says, what's the status of the person? Now, in HR, I got active employees. I have employees that no longer are with my organization. So in that audit, if I just clicked I-9 and said search for the I-9s, I'm going to get everybody. People I may not have hired, people I have fired, I have all my documents. Same thing over in the file folder. If I have to find specific documents, now I know I got those documents there, but they're in my folders. Which ones are active employees? Which one are inactive employees? Are you manually doing all of that, moving all those documents around? So this gives you a simple way of managing those kind of things. So let's look at what the folder structure looks like. So if I come into my different catalogs, let's go to human resources. Again, now we see that business process. This is a business process. So I have applicants that I'm looking to hire. I got my active employees, inactive applicants. I didn't hire them. They're not employees, but I also have inactive employees. And as I come into each folder, you have subfolders. So now there's that particular person. And if I go, I now have those documents all sorted in a way that meets my business needs and how I want to function. And again, this structure can be done any way you want. If I come into my HR folder, I have all my particular documents. You see the application. Remember that list that we had. You also see those documents. They're stored based on the person's name, the document type. And as you see here, this information you see as far as when it was captured, expiration dates, things of that nature, IDs. We can capture images, PDF, or actual documents. So literally anything can be in here the way you want to have it saved for your organization. We can append these documents. So if I had, let's say, an addendum that I needed to add to a document, I can add it to this particular document. added to the back end of it. We can also capture documents from any source. So if I wanted to, let's say, manage an email process, I have people who are sending me documents by email, and I needed to get into here. So we can set up a workflow in this system that actually monitors emails for either specific subject, information in the body of the email, or the attachment. And based on that, look for specific information like the person's name and the key information we use to enter this document in. For an example, that index information is over here on the side in the properties. So we have the document type, which is a driver's license, the person's name, an ID number. And the ID number is specific because I could have two John Does or two Mary Smiths. So I use that ID number to kind of like isolate them and make sure that I'm looking at the right person. And again, the categories, I can capture emails, and then the status, expiration date of this document, so on and so on. So using that criteria, which we can grab automatically, like I said, from an email or a PDF that we capture or invoices that we receive, we can actually direct those documents into their respective folders, no matter where they come from. Excuse me. You can also give your users access to these documents the same way you would in your normal business. So if I have a set of users that are not able to see this compliance folder or anything that's confidential, I can isolate those users so that they can still do their work on everything else in the system, but they won't see these two folders. So you can manage your documentation in a way that you want for your business, and this folder structure is set up the way you want to have it set up for your particular company. So I'm just going to come back over here to folders again. If I look at my client structure, again, active clients, inactive clients, these are pending clients. So again, what's the business process? Your documentation and your business process goes through steps, A, B, C, D, E, whatever, before it becomes a final or dies. These are active documents. One of the things in our next session for document management will be the retention policies and what are the risks involved with either having or not having a document within your system. And there are a lot of legal questions regarding that, whether documents, how long should you keep a document? And we're going to have one of our frequent guests, Francine Love, who is a business attorney. She's also going to be on that call with us to discuss the retention policies and the risk and exposure of having or not having documents within a certain time period that the government says that you can keep or destroy those documents. So that's in our next session. So again, in our structure here, I have my dashboard, which I can route and manage documents based on my business workflow, my business rules, how they are. They go to particular folders, specific folders. And it's not limited to this. You can sort your documents out in this as any way you want for your business. Doesn't matter. So, and users have access to those documents based on their roles within the business. So I touched on capturing documents. All right. As I said, we can monitor emails and have those emails come into us. I can do a direct scan. I can capture directly from my computer. So direct scan means that this system is connected to the scanner or the copier in the office. And if you use that and you scan it to a specific folder, this system is monitoring that folder, it grabs the document, and then again, based on the workflow, it either puts it in an approval process queue, work queue, or sends it directly to that particular person's folder. Remember those file cabinets. I want to get those file cabinets. Fred has a folder that's 5 inches thick. in that file cabinet, and I want to take that document or that folder and put it in this system. We have that. So we create what we call packets, which, remember, with the definition of the documents in the system, let me just go back down here to search. Remember how we define those documents? Well, I can create packages that say, okay, I take and I want to isolate the documents and create the subfolder, and then everything else, just put it into a general folder. So now I can take that 5-inch thick folder of pieces of paper, sort out a few of them, package it all together, scan it one time, and it would actually come into the system, create my folder, create the subfolders, put every document in its proper place. Again, in terms of capture, electronic, so if somebody sends you an email, again, I can monitor emails, but let's say I'm not monitoring it, it's a PDF. Somebody sent me a PDF file or an Excel file. I can electronically scan, capture it. I go in. The only thing you have to do is provide some information. So it's going into human resources. What's the document type? I provide the information, name, last name, and that ID number. I choose the file. If that document has an expiration date, I put it in here. Because remember, if I wanted to track that expiration date, I have a program that's running in the background that says, okay, 30 days before this expiration date, somebody needs to do something with this document. And then I just choose the file. And wherever I save that file, I just grab it and say upload it. So the process in terms of getting the documents is simple. I can also use, let me cancel out of this, my website to capture documents. So I can have an upload form on my website that says, okay, you need to add documents to the organization or provide documents to me. Go to this website. There's my 3 pieces of identifying information. I select the type of document that I'm uploading. I just add it here. Say I'm not a robot, click done. It goes from this to this in that person's folder automatically, because we set that process up on the back end that says I'm receiving it from here, take it, put it over here, process it, and dump it into the employee's folder. We also have capture applications. So some of you may be familiar with DocuSign, Sign Now. We have another product that's called Natural Forms. Well, this is another third-party application. But when the documents are submitted here and completed, I have them go directly into my document management application. So I send this document out to a person to be signed. I can fill it out within my office. I could do it remotely or in person. But once that document is completed, it automatically is going to be here in that folder based on what I set up for storing that document in this folder. So it's hands off. It literally, we try to make the documents work harder than you and automate the processes so that wherever they are, they're going to be where they are. And again, this is a browser-based application. And as I mentioned, for the people that just joined us, this application is totally secured as far as being, HIPAA compliant, SOX compliant. There's a bunch of others. And if you need that information, I can get it to you. But simply put, it is a centralized storage area. I have documents that reside, again, in folders, in drives. And also, we have a lot of people that put documents into applications. So I have documents also in Sign Now. Salesforce. There it is. So we generally have documents put all over the place. File cabinets, drives, software applications. But what Content Central does, or any, and there are many document management systems out there that do the same thing and even more. This is a centralized location. It manages everything. The workflow, business processes, and access to everything, simply using a cloud-based solution. And if you want to take your documents and go somewhere else 2 years from now, download them all, They export them for you, move to wherever you want to go. But this is just a simple way of handling that. So that's the overall 50,000 foot view of how do we use an enterprise document management system to manage all of the folders and everything we have here, plus everything that's in file cabinets on a person's desk, but make it manageable and make those documents work harder for you. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm also trying to be careful of the time. As I said, this was supposed to be a 30-minute high-level presentation, and hopefully you were able to see some things that might excite you or help one of your clients or help yourself. So if anybody has any questions, please unmute yourself. This is a small group, so it's going to be very informal.
That's really something, Fred. Wow.
Well, thank you, Elliot. I mean, yeah, again, we use certain tools for our business, and documentation is probably just like a printer. It's there. I don't think about it. So if I have it in a folder, fine, I'm using it. But as I said, there are certain risks that are involved in how you do certain things. Not only in time, how long does it take somebody to find something? I mean, I can go up here either like I showed you with that drill down search or a text search, a global text search. I can find something within 5 seconds. But if your documents are scattered between, Google Drive, a folder on a desktop, a network drive, shared drives, well, now I got to take time. If it's not in Google Drive, where is it next? Who may have that document? All right, if I have employees, who has that document? Or is it in the file cabinet? Or is it in a box? And then, I have documents that date back to 2002. All right, so if I have that, is there a risk to having that as a business owner? Even as a personal person, is there a risk for you having that document that is 15 years old in your possession, in a box, in a file cabinet somewhere? Is there risk and exposure to having that? The answer is yes. There is a potential risk for that. And that's one of the things we're going to go over next with Francine Love to talk about what do we do in regards to mitigating risk and exposure. And that is the term there used with documentation is called document retention policies. Every document a business deals with has a retention policy, a date where it should be destroyed. Certain documents live forever, but in the general scope of business, there are documents that should be destroyed within a year, within months. So that ramification, and again, Francine's going to talk about that, but if you have any kind of litigation or somebody, a government agency turns around and says, well, here, I'm doing an audit, and you have that document when you're not supposed to, can they fine you? Can you be sued? I mean, are you actually helping the plaintiff prove their case because, hey, I had that document stuck in Google Drive since 2002. Again, they're going to find it. If you get subpoenaed or you have to have a legal action, they're going to find it. It's in that box that's been tucked away in my closet, in the office supply closet back there. So we're going to go through those kind of things. Any other questions?
Yes.
Hey, Fred, when you mentioned personal level, that sort of resonated with me. As you know, I'm retired. I don't worry about clients anymore, and I don't have the documents. However, the file cabinets that I have my office in my basement.
Mm-hmm.
The file cabinets that I used to have all kinds of documents. And by the way, you mentioned about holding onto documents. I realized I still have documents both in digital and both as hard copy.
Mm-hmm.
On even clients. And yeah, I mean, maybe I really should get rid of them because it's if anything happens or something like that, I think it's very unlikely, but there's always a question of violating confidentiality. So I have to get rid of them. But on a personal level, those file cabinets that used to contain a lot of business now contains personal stuff. I mean, I have folders in there, for my insurances, cars insurance, house insurance, and so on. And sometimes, and my wife and I go to it, and we have lots of things. And sometimes I'll, tell my wife, "Where is that folder?" Well, she felt that folder may have, alphabetized according to the insurance company name. But if somebody was looking for the homeowner's insurance as opposed to the car insurance and assuming it's not me, okay, it'll go crazy. And that's true with everything. If that whole thing would have been digitized, you could have cross-referenced or whatever. And it really had occurred to me, I wish that there was for the individual, for the homeowner, not necessarily for the business owner, some kind of an app, maybe when you take it digitized or find a process where if somebody has to go and find a specific document, homeowner's insurance, car insurance,
Right.
mortgage payments, whatever it is, you don't have to go through, 4 drawers that are stuffed with all kinds of things. Plus each folder contains, things, payments made maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. And my wife would say to me, "I'm working, do we still need this?" I said, "No, but don't tear it up yet or shred it because I'm too busy doing something else." So we'll never get to it. So I think the problem you're talking about relates to business, which is a much larger level. I think these problems apply to the individual in terms of finding the document when you need it, when you're not, without getting frustrated, and maybe getting rid of things that you shouldn't be having in there that can create a problem for you later on.
Yeah.
But does an individual have to have something this sophisticated? Is there something lesser?
And I wrote it down. There are some other products out there, and I'll try to find something that may be more applicable to the individual personal user. All right. The application that we just saw, the recurring cost to a business owner is $35 a month per user. So if I had a small business, let's say 2 people, myself and an administrator, and I want the administrator to do the day-to-day stuff, but I don't want her to see my confidential documents. Well, I can sort that out, have that set up in the system, and literally every document and thing that I need for my business is processed for $70 a month or $35 a month per user for 250 gigabytes of storage. For the average small business, that's probably somewhere close to 7 to 10 years of documents that you're talking about being stored with that $35. And again, that workflow that I have in my business is all set up. It's done. So it doesn't matter where the document comes from. It's going to the workflow, it's going to the approval queues, being stored, put where I need it to go. Ethel, I see your hand raised.
Ethel posted a question. Do you recommend having a centralized location for all your documentations?
Yes, absolutely. Here's an example. All right. If my documents are centralized, then no matter where I am, no matter where my employees are working, they log in. There's every document that's in those file cabinets behind me is now in front of them. During COVID, we have people who are working from home. All right. Did everybody in all those businesses automatically before the shutdown scan every document that's in those file cabinets behind me, put them online so that all those people working from home have access to them? No, they're still in the file cabinet. So that centralized location just gives me the ability to work. God forbid, disasters, hurricane, flood, fire, whatever. If they're destroyed, or let's say I'm working from home and I work for you, Ethel, and something happens and these documents and everything on my computer, they're now gone. But they're your documents, they're your business documents. Because they were here, You don't have them, and now nobody has them because something happened. So yeah, centralized location, again, where am I looking for my documents? Are they on my computer? Are they on my employee's computer? Are they on a network drive, shared drive? Are they in Google Drive? Do I have them in application? So depending upon the process, your HR department, and I understand people in departments want to do things that are easy for them. So if I'm your HR manager, it's like, yeah, I use this HR platform over here. So let's keep all the documents over here in the HR platform. All right. But payroll, billing, all right. So does that make sense? Or now how am I getting those documents into the payroll? So either I'm getting them by email, I got to save them here, then I got to do the upload over here. Well, those are manual tasks. Again, we want to automate it. I get a document. If I can identify it, it automatically goes where it needs to go. And people just log into one place and see whatever they want. So I can work with applications, I can get documents, I can share them from that centralized location. So if I need a document and I need to email it to you, Ethel, I just log in, I can email it to you. I can check it out, put it in a process, or take it from the folder, put it into your approval process. Oh, Ethel, here's that document for your approval. Put it in your approval process. When you log in on your dashboard, it's there in your approval process for you to work on. So that centralized location gives us more flexibility to do things that we need to do for that, just our business. I mean, paperwork is the lifeblood of your business. No business process starts before the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and I have that contract in my hand signed by you that says, let's move forward. All the documentation thereafter, how do you manage it? So this is just one way of doing it.
All right, Jerry Schwartz wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the cost of, you answered about the cost of that service that you were using. I mean, now the service that you were showing, what happens if, God forbid, something happened to their business, or say their business burnt down? Do they have backups somewhere else around the US or something?
Every day, it's an enterprise cloud-based system, backed up on multiple servers every single day. No hiccups. So that's like, yeah. If their primary server goes down, it's sort of like a data center. Data center has their servers housed, AWS, things of that nature. There's never one specific. So they're using an industry standard like Amazon Web Services, Google, or any of those applications that hold the main platform up in the cloud, which is backed up every single day, multiple times a day, if I'm not mistaken. So I know that, no matter where my documents are, they're going to be there. But if I have my documents on my hard drive and my hard drive gets fried, then I'm calling Jerry and saying, Jerry, help me. I'm going to be talking to Jerry because I do have an older terabyte drive where it is now not functioning. I can't say, it's got to be 10,000 things on that hard drive. Most of them, I'm a photographer, hobby photographer. I have over 10,000 photos on that drive of my family and everything else. I have no access to because that drive messed up. And I knew it was going to happen, and I didn't change it out fast enough. But now I have to have somebody be able to get to that drive. But that drive has documents I know I need. They're there, but it's locked down, and now it's going to cost me money to get that drive or try to recover that drive. And I may not be able to recover that drive.
Yeah, that is true. That's something you would have to see what the condition of your drive is. And there may be, if it's like really what called damage to the drive itself, you may have to send it somewhere that they would have to do it, and that may cost you hundreds of bucks. Okay. Just that's something beyond what I could do there at your location. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So again, what are the
just to give you a heads up? That's all.
all right, now, actually, yes, I did. And I went to, Best Buy, and they said, oh, we'll send it out to a company. They'll take the drive apart and try to recover it and everything else. And the minimum cost, they didn't even tell me what the cost was. The minimum was $500.
Yeah.
And they said it could be higher than that.
It could be
just to try to
1,000, double that, depending on how much damage there is, how big
Yep.
it is, and all, there's a lot of factors involved.
So the question, is a centralized location something that's I would recommend? Absolutely. For business documents, yes. Personal documents, it's different for you personally. But again, you can take what we talked about, and like I said, this particular program application that I showed today, that's $35 a month per user, and 250 gigabytes of storage, which probably would exceed a normal person in their lifetime of storing documents. Well, let me change that. With social media and everybody taking photographs, maybe that'll change. But for the most part, for an average business, we're looking at anywhere between 7 and 10 years just to fill up that 250 gigabytes of storage space. But you also have the retention policies, which we're going to go through in detail in our next discussion. When should I get rid of those documents? And what is the exposure and liability if I do or don't have those documents? How easy is it to find those documents? Because if somebody knocks on your door, and with all of the things right now with PPP and government giving us money and things of that nature and everything else, compliance, we did a thing on sexual harassment. Okay, if you have an employee, did you do that sexual harassment class? Yes. Where's the documentation? Where's the sign off? Where's your workbook? Where's all that stuff? I gotta find it. I go into my system, just click a button, in 5 seconds, I have everything that I need for anybody that they want. So that's the advantages of an enterprise document management system versus document storage. Yes, Google Drive is free. Network drives are free, but then you're doing all the manual work. So if I told you that for $70 a month, I will capture every single document that comes into your organization. I will file it, I will save it, I will put it through its workflow processes. It's anything that has to be done with that document, I will make sure it's done. I will put it away for you, and I will watch it, and I will destroy it when it's needed. And all it's going to cost you is $70 a month. I'll do that for you. I don't think anybody here wouldn't hire somebody for $75 a month to do that stuff for them. And that's the difference.
Fred, it's amazing how quickly a half hour goes.
Yes, it is. Actually, it's more than a half an hour. It's 45 minutes. So I am going to, and if you have any questions, fine. You can, I'll send my contact information out. You can also just email the LISB at info@lisb.com. We'll get back to you, John Hill. So, and again, this is going to be posted up on our website. If you go to, resources, you'll see event recordings and stuff like that. So it'll be there for future reference. But basically, that's it. So hopefully we're going to have more of these things coming up. Our next two will be, again, the extension of this part 2, retention policy, risk and management, exposure to your business. And we're also going to do another tech tip on your websites. And I'm sure many people have gone to a website and seen that, that lock that says, this is unsecure. Well, there are things changing in the browser environment that if certain content on your website is not secure, your customers, people looking to do business with you, may not be able to get access to your website or your content simply because it's not in a secured environment. So that will also be one of the tech tips that's coming up in the near future. So with that, I'm going to end this. I'm going to wish everybody a happy day, prosperous day, be well, and we will see you again.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you,
All right,
Fred.
everybody, have a good one.
But the pleasure.